Welcome everybody to the live stream. It is Sledgy. What's up? Mr. Coffee, Asterbait, our good friends. Okay, everybody, welcome. It's Art of Analysis Thursday night game analysis stream for subscribers. Here, submit your subscriber games to the stream, and we will analyze them in depth as is possible within limits of 15-20 minutes. What is up? How is everything? Coffee and Asterbait. Oh no, I forgot my water. God damn it, Jerry. Who needs water when we've got beer and cognac? All right. You might ask, what did you do with your prize money from the World Senior Championship? I bought a bottle of cognac with it, among other things, with our huge prize money. We only invest in the most important things in life. Okay. Live. All right. Ready to go here. Where's our analysis stream? Study. El Tractor. Why is that the most popular? Oh. Jesus. Okay, ask a stupid question. Alright, my studies. The importance of the tractor. So, my studies I contribute to. That's what you did with your money? I renewed my subscription to the USCF. I donated to St. Louis Chess Foundation. It's getting chilly here. We're close to freezing. My money, my big prize money, all 300 euros of it. I won approximately 1/7 of my expenses back. Big money. You have some mental game to send you. Mental game. The mental game in chess. I think you sent me something already. So anyway, how is everybody? Italian prices. Duty free. Alright. Duty free cognac. Well, now let me see if we've got everyone. I have Asterbait. Zen Chess is supposed to be on the list. I don't see a game from Zen Chess. Zen Chess, is that right? Zen Chess, Schumacher. Asterbait's on the list. Goiju's Resident Spectator, okay. And then Gina Rook, aka opponent Mr. Slow. Is this the right stream? Wow, Mr. Slow got a game in. He must have sent the game to Yabatis. This is definitely the right study. I didn't know we had a Mr. You have to pay taxes on that. Prize money? I don't think so, Mr. Coffee, if it's under a certain amount, right? If you won less than $500 or whatever. Isn't that the rule that like Goichberg always asks? I think in like as far as US taxes go, if it's under a certain amount, you don't have to pay taxes, right? But, you know, I could have to pay some taxes in Europe or something. But no, they don't take any taxes out of the prizes. But, you know, everybody was kind of like, and I, including me, we were sort of like did a double take when the organizers were like, at the closing ceremony, they were like, oh, by the way, you're not getting your prize money here at the tournament. FIDE is going to like directly transfer the money to your bank account. And I was like, what if you don't have a bank account, you know? Just saying, you know. Alright, anyway. Here we go. So Astrobate's first. Do I have Zen Chess at all? Welcome, Mr. Slow. Zen Chess, am I right? He submitted a game. He would have been the first one to submit a game for this week. Video game player, programmer. No, seriously, where is my message? Honey, I don't remember Zen Chess submitting a game. I feel like I have the wrong list or something. Oh, there it is. Is that right? He did submit a game. This is correct. Round 1 victory in Missouri State Championship Open. My opponent was 1750. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. What? Why did I not... I guess I didn't add it to the study for some reason. But Zen Chess should be first. Like, otherwise they would have to mail you a check. No, I mean, why not pay us in cash? FIDE, like, doesn't trust them or something. I mean, every time... Many tournaments have paid the prizes out in cash. Not every tournament, I guess. But, you know, it doesn't work like that, Mr. Coffee, in Europe. You know, they don't use, like, checks the way we do in the United States. Europeans do bank transfer. They don't really do checks. If you go to a European bank, you're like, oh, I want to, like, deposit a check. I've had some real nightmares. Now they don't even... They're like, look at me like I'm an alien. I used to get, like, checks from the IRS, and they would, like, let me deposit it in Hungarian banks, but now it's like... They don't even do that at all anymore. Yeah. Mr. Coffee's just not going to be a good expat. Alright. We're lagging here. 80 ping, not bad. Alright, Zen Chess. Anyway. Yeah, like in Hungary there's no such thing as checks. And I assume that goes for like most, if not all maybe, but most, probably in Britain, for example. In the UK they probably have checks. But I don't know if they still use it much. You could probably get like bank checks. But it's not like in the States. So Zen Chess, we cannot add Zen's game to the study. That's why I had such trouble with this. Yeah, and then it's never going to coordinate. Alright, get PGN. We'll just do it this way. Zen Chess is black against the 1700. Copy, copy and paste. Copy, tools, analysis board. Spectacular Camel, thank you for subscribing. You should be able to subscribe with Bitcoin. Or FTX. Alright. Yeah, why? It will let me put it in the study now. Oh, that's cool. Yay. Alright, it's in there. Zen is first. Thank you, Spectacular Camel, for subscribing. Guys, been a slow week. So please subscribe and donate, support the stream if possible. Tonight we'll hit the hype train. Support your favorite chess streamer. Even if that someone is not me, you know, go out and support them. Okay. It better be me. Anyway, alright, we are supposed to be on game chapter 8. So Zen is white against 1700. Zen is black. That's like grown. I think I can speak for all Sicilian defense players. We are not happy when white plays knight to c3. At least I am not happy. And it's funny because Zen Chess plays knight c3 himself. And now bishop to c4. The Bodler with knight c3. So it's like a closed Bodler. That means there's no c3 type of ideas. Zen here played e6. Obviously g6 is a move. Why not g6? Well, it's up to you. I mean, you can play both, so whatever. G6 is fine too. White is a good score after d3, but that, I mean, that's hard to believe. Demidov. It's like Demidog. Yeah, Stanimir Nikolic. Anyway, Zen just played e6. D3, and now things get interesting. Yeah, I like g6 better, but I get it. Against bishop c4, e6 is effective. e6 is fine, but I mean, I think the important thing that you have to realize is that because white doesn't have c3 and d4, he can't play the most dangerous form of this Bodler attack against the g6. I mean, this is nothing more than a closed English where black is like a tempo behind, but it really doesn't matter that much. I don't think the extra tempo benefits white that much. You know, black should be fully equal. But e6 is fine too, d3, and now, I don't know, I would expect maybe knight f6 or a6, but Zen here played the third most interesting move. Someone actually played knight a5. I mean, the problem with knight a5 is, I think, white will let you take it. And it's not clear if it's worth it, wasting that time. So, knight on g to e7, threatening to just blast the center with d5. I've been through this with Asterbait. The only thing is, like, on f6, the knight puts pressure on e4. This is weird. If we play this, and white plays this, and we play d5, we have a lot more pressure against the white position, because our knight is contributing to pressuring e4. So the thing about knight e7, I mean, it's nice that you get in d5, but once you get in d5, you're not really threatening anything. It's kind of like, well, you get in d5, but big deal. So, welcome, resident spectator, Prethia, Egeshigidre. So, I mean, I don't think I like f4. This looks like something Asterbait would play. Like, you want to get splattered when you play that move. That's just like standing there waiting to get punched in the face. You're like, please punch me in the face. White should... I don't know. No more pawn moves. Maybe bishop e3 unprovoked. Knight f3. Knight e2. But it feels like f4 is just asking to get hammered by d5 and then like take on e4. So what is white play now? Taking is out of the question. This is horrific, right? If you take, white just like loses their central strong point. Everybody, please support the stream. But I don't like f4. Yeah, I mean, bishop e3 is the only move that was played here. I think f4 is a serious error. Okay, his move is playable, but it doesn't really make that much sense. So now black has to decide between d4 and, let's say, a6. I think this is an interesting And to be honest, like, we have other moves too. I mean, even bishop d7 looks totally reasonable, to be honest. So I think this is actually kind of tricky. It seems kind of tricky for black to decide what to play now after bishop e5. I mean, obviously on d4, knight e2, we win a piece with queen a5 check. So white has to take on c6 if we play d4. Takes, knight e2. And ultimately, black has the bishop pair. And I think advantage to black. And also you can maybe think about playing f5 before it's freaking too late. You don't want to let white get an f5. And if we play f5 ourselves, ultimately we're looking at controlling light squares here, here, here. In all circumstances, white just can't really control the light squares. So let's see what evaluation we get here. f5 is a little extreme. It's kind of early, but it positionally makes sense. We don't want to wait and like let white play f5. So it's like clear advantage to black. So that's one option. This is kind of passive, honestly. And then there's Zen's move, which is a6, forcing him to exchange, but keeping the tension in the center. So now takes. You know, so how would you compare this to d4? I mean, we've kept this tension in the center and gained the bishop pair. But I almost like d4 better, to be honest. So white should keep the tension now. This is a good move. I think I like d4 the best. You know, you can always do this now, but you're kind of like a move behind. There was no need to play a6 at the end of the day. You can also take here, and I think like this structure is good for black. I'm not sure about the end game. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge. White has a pawn in the center, but I think black's bishop is really strong in the long run. Black's probably better here as well. +1. I mean, maybe his opponent would play knight takes. I think black's still better, much better here. I can understand how Lichess wouldn't want to trade against a low-rated player. Okay, anyway, he plays f5. Similar to the idea I suggested in the other position. Maybe white exchanges or pushes. Yeah, I think this is a good idea in general. Whatever happens, we have more space, and our light squares will save the day. So white there very patiently keeping the tension. And maybe that's the best of all for him. Yeah, I mean, maybe that casts him down on f5 so early. There's a guy who played b5. I'm not convinced of that either. This is kind of tricky. You can obviously push d4 as well. You know, maybe we end up doing the same thing as another variation, but have this like useless a6 move in. Yeah, I agree. We probably should have played e4 right away. Alright, f5, castles is a good move. Now bishop e7. And then white just, you know, the master of tension. There's not much white can do, but at the same time his position is fundamentally like fairly solid. White kind of has to, I mean, black has to go after him. I would think we might take and push at some point. You know, so we start getting this kind of thing. I mean, this could get really crazy because our central pawns have a lot of fluid sort of mobility. You know, I'm not real sure I trust White's position in this situation. It looks good for Black. This looks good for Black too. I don't really see like what White can really do. Ultimately, we'll probably play b5. Alright, so Queen e1. Also, there's the e file here. Yeah, both sides played like patiently. And then Rook b1. I mean, this guy's supposed to be 1700, and Zen chess is like 2000 something. Although I think he's very strong for 2000. To be truthful. Not perfect, but way stronger than your average 2000. At least, in my opinion, Zen chess is at least 2100. So, especially like in Blitz. But Rook b1. Keep the tension, keep the tension. We can't play Bishop d7 because we drop a pawn. So how do we do this without, how do we keep the tension and complete our development? I mean, maybe we really ought to go with d4 at some point. Zen chess has been reluctant to do this. Or maybe again the take, and d4. It just seems like inevitable. At some point we're going to have to do this. And maybe even e5. With what is effectively like a tremendous King's Indian for Black. I mean, Black is playing the white side of what is like a tremendous King's Indian structure. This looks crushing. Unopposed late square bishop. If f5, we're just rolling. I don't know. I mean, there might be some chances for White. But overall, Black should be better. So that's a very dynamic way to play. Zen chess just plays b5. And then until now, White is played very solid. But he suddenly plays knight d1, which looks... Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of c3, though. I mean, structurally, Black is just better there. This looks really, like, afraid. So now, White's just, like, retreating. Although he doesn't have a lot of options. c2 looks super weak. I mean, Black must have a big advantage here. I mean, if you turn on Stockfish, it has to be over 1. Damn. Yeah, it's like +2. It just wants to take on e4. Wow, it wants to play d takes e4 now. That's a surprising move. Asterbait, this is like you. You're always retreating your closed Sicilian knight off of c3 for no reason. General rule. Do not maneuver your pieces away from the center when there's tension in the center. He was obviously afraid of b4. I mean, I guess you could play a3 if you're going to play anything here. You just played rook b1. Why not play a3? Yabatis' favorite move. I think a3 makes sense. This is very passive. I don't love this move, rook e8. And now White finally just decides to play e5. So, I mean, White has the central pawns on the same color as his bishop. If he could control d4, he could shut down the light square bishop. Now Black's kind of positionally threatening to play d4. So, like, anybody for, like, a pawn sack? You can't just like randomly give Black a pawn, can you? To try to kill this bishop. Zen's rook is in the way. This bishop would like to go here, here, here. If I can't get, the long diagonal, then my next best plan would be to do a French. Stonewall thing. Okay, d4 is probably not sound. So now white is really in trouble. It's really bad. We're over +2 now. Queen d5, bishop b7 here. Plus the space advantage on the queen side. And white doesn't have much attacking chances on the king side. I would love nothing better than opposite color bishop position. I dare you to play knight g5. Here, bishop b7. And now a good move, it looks like bishop e1, idea bishop h4. Yeah, I mean, if he plays this, he's in deep shit. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then this is just extremely good for black. So bishop e1 is a good move. Now we're facing the threat of bishop h4. We have this. Although a2 is kind of poisonous. Rook c8 looks like a solid choice. White plays bishop h4. And this exchange drives white's knight away from the center. I've got to be honest with you guys, I don't think like trading queens drastically changes the evaluation of the position. But probably Zen chess is, would prefer to have the queens on with this bishop on the long diagonal. You don't have to trade queens. Yeah, but I don't think black's winning a pawn here. Because of rook f2. Is he? I mean, can't the knight get trapped on like a2? I guess you can just defend it. I didn't think about bishop d5. You defend it with bishop d5. So I was basically, toying around with the idea of c3 trapping the knight on a2. But objectively, this doesn't work. Just too many possibilities. Bishop d5. Maybe even like b4. I don't think the knight can really be trapped. So knight takes h4 is okay. Knight b4, he goes for the pawn. c2 is very important. Oh, he tries to play it the other way. But okay, the knight isn't trapped now. a3 takes. You don't want that. Don't leg pawn. Zen chess. He doesn't like this pawn. Delicious. So there's a couple possibilities. I mean, rook c1, knight e3. Knight e3, pawn e3. Wow. I mean, this would take some calculation. And now here. And obviously black is like better, much better. But maybe not winning. Here, here, here. Sorry. Here, here. Nice diagonal you've got there. Look, black is clearly better, but it may not be enough to win. Damn. So maybe a3 is the best move. Temporarily sacrificing this pawn. Here, here, and we don't have a choice. A. There's some scary stuff like g5. I mean, I gotta be honest, that's pretty scary, but g3 is not possible. Man, maybe g5. Okay, you have to take, and then f4. That's a nice pawn you have there, sir. Um, he's got g3, unfortunately. White just barely survives this. Alright, anyway, so it was complicated, judging whether to take that pawn on c2. He decides to play it safe now, goes here. But you got the impression that white might be hanging on. g3, and now c4. I feel like this g5 break is very key. But we're not fast enough. Yeah, I want to double check that position one more time. Man. This is such a key moment. Computer finally comes around. And then knight d5 is better. At depth 19. Oh. It's close. Can we see this? Knight takes. What the engine wants to say, rook c1, knight e3. Maybe we missed something. Yeah, my move g5 is best. g5 is best. Takes. f4. This is all analysis. g3. So it keeps going. See, this is why you got to spend your time. I stopped the analysis right at the key moment where black has rook f8. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Wow. It's like millimeters from being lost for white. King f7 is a flexible move then. Welcome, Uber driver. Yeah. This is very borderline. I would have probably used up all my time trying to decide between these two moves for black objectively. My fear is white's kind of getting away here almost. So c4, now we've got to watch this pawn, the d4 pawn. What the heck is protecting the d4 pawn? The threat of knight e3? I'm threatening if knight f3, knight e3. That's the trick. No, Uber driver. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about c4 not. I mean, this pawn is very strong. And you want to play king f7? With ideas of, yeah, king e7. Yeah, we'll give Uber driver a break. I mean, I also like h6. There's no reason you have to play c4. I agree. If you think about it strategically, we've got one break here, and we've got another really nice break with g5. So I think we should be setting up the g5 break. And ultimately, king f7 might be connected to that. I mean, king e7, rook g8, h6, g5. We can lever open the g file. The g file and or h file, in tandem with this bishop. Or a5. I mean, a5 is a move. This is, about c4 becoming vulnerable, right? Ugh. Do we have to pin ourselves? So, can't we play knight f3 here? Guys, don't forget to support the stream. We need your support to keep the stream going. We have only one gift sub this week from Masturbate, Chess Zebra 5 bits. So let's get some love. Financial love from you guys. We need a hype train. I mean, it's been a very, very depressing week. We got Christmas coming up, you know. Nobody's going to get any presents. I don't know what I'm going to do. How much does coal cost these days? The price of coal is skyrocketing. But I mean, I'm thinking knight f3 might be holding on there. Knight f3. Nothing like self-pin. Alright, anyway, I don't want to spend an hour on the game. We gotta go along. Bishop hits f3. Cutting out that key defensive resource. Yeah, I mean, I guess then could have done that any time, right? If knight f3, I should just mention. But there is, I guess, this move. So, just saying. This is kind of what I'm wondering about at the end of the day. How bad is White's position? White, like, right on the precipice of losing, but maybe not. Rook c1 here. b3. And now, what are we doing? Threatening. We're threatening bishop e4, which would be decisive. Oh. We didn't want that to happen. Really. And this knight on b6 makes me sad. That knight was formerly on d5. WJ Lou, thanks for subscribing. Great to see you back. Have you time to play chess? Man, this knight gets to e1. I mean, we might not be winning. Damn. We're still better though. And the second wave coming along the G file. So what about the G5 pawn? Man, White doesn't take. What is going on here? So if he takes, you're going to have to give up your monster bishop to get this pawn phalanx going on, but it looks quite strong. Black's still better. Powerful pawn, better pieces, weak pawn on e5. WJ Loof, thanks for subscribing. Mr. Slow, get to tier 1 sub to Asparov. Even this is good for black. We're still better, but wow, g4. And now we got the Carlsen lobster claw coming on the king side. What he did to me. Uh-oh. b4. Knight c5. Unfortunately, b4 allows knight c4, first of all. So he goes back. King g6. Yeah, I mean, this I don't know. All I'm going to say is that Zen chess shouldn't have to struggle this bad. It's hard to beat the 1700. I think that Zen chess played well overall, but he wasn't quite accurate, you know, as accurate as he could have been. The 1700 should not get this close to holding on. So we're slightly disappointed with this. Now this is really bad. There's no way I'm gonna put my... There's no way I'm putting my bishop on c8. I can't believe you played that move. You really have to do that? Damn. I mean, can't we just go forward already? Like h4? It's a problem. I think this is the problem. Why did our knight go back to b6? Was that really necessary? I don't like the knight back on b6. This is over the board game, yeah. Bishop c8 is horrible. To have to play that, I mean. He's able to just hold it. And now knight c6. Oh my god. Why didn't you play bishop e7? Because it's just like a draw by repetition. I was thinking rook c7. Why don't you at least try rook c7? I mean, worst case scenario, he plays like this or something. Then you could try maybe h4. Yeah, this is going to fall. But I mean, there's several things that happen. Okay, the break with c4 was too early. This pawn got weak. And this has been a constant source of problems. So I think Uber Driver is right, effectively, that Zen just rushed with the c4. And the d4 pawn became weak. Wow. Wow. Is there some reason why like, oh, he can't play like king take and pawn takes because of rook check? If here, I really have no idea what's going on here. Uh-oh. Played Paschall in a GM tournament in Budapest. I played like a chicken with white, forcing a fast draw. He was very angry about it. He played poker and won $1,000. That's funny, I don't remember that. I don't remember that, Strippy. Oh. No, who's Strippy? Uber Driver, thanks, man. Yeah, you're going back in time, Strippy. That must have been, more than 10 years ago. I don't have a concrete recollection of that, but I'm sure that I wasn't making it up at the time. Alright. Arnold and Danny. Thanks, Uber Driver and Mr. Slow. Yeah, I don't like king takes h3, g3. I mean, what is this? Yeah, he's got to take with the h pawn. I can't emphasize enough the importance of A, king safety, and B, like, yeah, this is crazy. So king takes g is like blunder. I mean, that's a pretty obvious blunder though, right? I mean, we have rook h3 check, and then what are you going to do? Like drop your pawn with check? Or put the king on the light square? No, this is a disaster. He had a perfectly good position till now. Now, I don't understand why you don't have this. Wow, Astrobate, nice quote. Be a harsh critic of your own wins. Vasilios Katronias. Nice quote. Mr. Sohand. Donated a gift sub to Stroopy. I have so many draws in First Saturday Grandmaster tournaments that I don't know who's who, man. I love myself some quick draws. Alright, I was playing a lot of poker. Too much poker. Oh, you're Ruprecht. I remember it was a... Actually, did we play twice? We played twice. Didn't we? You had a c3 Sicilian against me as well. Really? Oh, okay, so it was a c3 Sicilian. That was the game. I remember. Or I'm confusing with someone else. Oh no, Ruprecht, that was a Grand Prix, that was a hyper-accelerated dragon. Then I'm for some reason, I'm like... I've, for some reason, convinced myself that you played the c3 Sicilian, but it was someone else in the second game. I remember we had the hyper-accelerated dragon game. Yeah. There was some reason that game was actually interesting, theoretically, if I remember correctly. Something like important in that game, for the time anyway. For some reason, I convinced myself that you played a c3 Sicilian against me, but that doesn't make sense. It was some other player. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad. Thanks for joining the stream. Another German IM. So he's obviously fluent in communicating with Mr. Slow. Rook g3, Rook h3 check. You're still playing chess? I don't play as much as I'm coaching. Check, king h2, and then white is lost. Alright, so we spent forever on this game. But white is toast now. What? I don't really want to put my king on the H file here. I like that you got your knight back in the game. First of all, I would assume you would take on c4. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm playing in the Hungarian team championship. Not as strong, but I'm also going to get destroyed by some 2600 players. Maybe as early as next week. So that'll be fun. Backrow is slowly, he's slipping down into the 2600s. Check, king h5. Man, I don't really like this. Why is our king like interfering with our rooks? Man, it looks like we have so many moves here. I almost feel like we might have knight takes. I would play this and hope for this. And then I'm even looking at knight takes f4. It doesn't work, but at least you got to think about it. That knight has been nothing but trouble. Okay, so why not exchange pawns first? You didn't like rook takes? Maybe he thought he wouldn't get another chance to play knight c3. So he goes knight c3, threatening the fork. And then, I can't really analyze games properly in 20 minutes. Why h5? Can't you just play king f7 here? Isn't this like a double threat? I see, so it doesn't matter because he has knight takes c8. And you have no time for knight e4 check because he just, he takes it and then saves his knight. So this is crazy though. I don't like this king on h5. This is Zen Chess, a 2000 plus player playing black against a 1700, which should be like an easy win. And then g3. Another move I don't like. I don't like our pawn structure, I don't like our chain getting strung out. I'd like to keep those pawns together. If I can play rook h3. This is probably winning even with the crazy king, right? It's only plus 1.5, so it's not so simple. It's close. But I'm concerned that he made a mistake advancing this pawn. But I see you want to come in. He's actually got exactly Uber Driver. It only occurred to me now what he's trying to do. He's trying to get his king in here. So maybe g3 is good. We've got equal material, and our king ends up being really strong. That's pretty impressive, yeah. So the rook's attacked. You've got rook h7 check, but then we go, and this rook is still hanging. Now both rooks are hanging. Zen Chess has struggled with endgames. This has consistently been his problem, so this is a good test. I think generally we should be dominating those lower rated players. Oops, there goes my pawn chain. And this is just an easy win. Yeah, no pawns. An easy win. But it was nice of Ruprecht to stop by. Nice to see players I played, in real life. Uber driver, another person. Thanks for being part of our streams. Not that many people, among the viewers are people that I've played or know, from real life. Uber is an old friend of mine from Boston. Okay, that was a very long analysis. It took us like an hour. We're obviously not going to spend an hour on every game. I really need to speed it up here. Asterbot. Okay, Asterbot is playing black. Guys, we're just analyzing the subscribers' games that are submitted. This might look familiar. I don't know if Andreas is still here, but we've passed on the hyper-accelerated dragon to some of our followers. So Asterbot plays g6, like Andreas was just talking about. We had a game all those years ago. I still play it from time to time. Bishop c4. The Bobler is stupid, but it's not that stupid against g6, I think. This bishop c4 is played a lot online, and it's not great, but particularly against g6 it's okay. I played it myself. And this is white's best move, I think, c3. So c3, Aspie, you did a crazy thing. You can spend an hour on mine. Don't worry, we won't. I played this against Farago Shandor years ago. You guys can see it in the database there. That's around the same time I played Mr. Ruprecht. Approximately 2007. Maybe not the same year, but in around there. Knight f6 is experimental. I thought it was bad. Knight f6, e5, knight g4. And the problem is he doesn't do anything crazy like this. He just does d4. It's funny, like sometimes I don't even remember my own games. I've seen this several times in the database. I don't remember like playing this game against him. It's very weird. It's kind of strange. I don't even remember playing in an IM tournament in 2007, to be honest. Mostly I was playing in GM tournaments. And then occasionally you get like a GM draw that you play like real fast and you don't remember. But anyway, Asterbate, this is crazy what you did here. You played d5. I just told him the other day, like last week. Dude, I swear to God, I told Asterbate last week that he's supposed to play d6. I spent like 20 minutes explaining this to him. And so what does he do? Oh, d6. I forgot. I'm supposed to play d6. I'll play d5. We always used to think that e6 was the best move, but I think that this is actually better to do d6. It's only taken me like 20 years to figure this out. I mean, if I'm being honest, like I never really used to spend that much time on this variation, but it's very popular, especially online. And it's not a bad line. D6... Why do I spend 20 minutes explaining this to you, Asterbate, and then have you play d5? It was played by Bartzai Laszlo and Grenfeld. Yeah, e6 was the main line forever for black. That's what Roman GGS really taught me to play. Roman always, recommended that we play for e6. This was the agreed setup. But d6 is different. You're giving white total center. That's the thing. You're giving white the ideal pawn center. And I always thought, oh, that's a mistake. But it's not so simple. And then we're not going to lose all the dark squares, but there is concern there. But this is crazy. D5. we've been through this once before. So if bishop takes, I think it's good for black. You just play knight f6. See? Leiko's first trainer, Mate Gaspar. He's still around somewhere. Against Barce Laszlo, who I never played, but I remember he was still playing in GM tournaments when I first came to Budapest in like 97. Was the last time I saw him playing, around 97 and 98. 97 to be exact. But the problem is, Astorbate's variation, I think this is unsound. You know, like after this, here's a game where Greenfeld lost. It's just not good enough for black. I mean, it's nice. It's an offbeat line. You're playing it like a Scandinavian. But it's apparently like, it just doesn't quite work. I looked at it with the engine. It just doesn't quite work. Good enough for Aspirate to slip it past like a 1500. But it's incorrect. No, so the guy... This is ridiculous, but the guy like doesn't take it. I just should just like refuse to analyze the rest of the game in honor of Astorbate's opponent. This is perverse, you know. Bishop e3, and now if pawn takes pawn, he's gonna play the Budapest Gambit with knight to g5. It might actually, you know, almost not be that bad. It's like one of those weird gambits. I might have nothing better than like e6 here or knight h6. But I don't know that black should take necessarily. c4 is interesting. I have a weird feeling about that. e6 you could still play. Michel Godena, I've noticed in the past. Not the first time I've seen him playing this with white. And, I mean, still this has to be okay, right? Knight g5. This is awkward, though. I don't really love this for black. I think objectively maybe black should just play knight f6. Although here you run into e5. And we have some kind of weird... I would call it like a weird Brassolimo. I mean, seriously, maybe this is a good move. Maybe c4 is good. I don't know. If bishop c2, pawn takes pawn, this looks very artificial for white. Here, knight here, check. Bishop d7, queen takes c4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, sacking a pawn for dominant position. Hate two pawns, anybody? I'm just saying, you know, there's lots of chances for black to get the initiative if white isn't careful. But this is such a horrible move. I mean, seriously, bishop e3. You should just be banned from chess for that move. And now knight g5. Okay. So Astorbate played e6. This is kind of like last resort. White's obviously got to take here. c5 is loose. Yeah, it's a hillbilly. c5 is loose. How do you recommend like protecting c5? How do we do that? Queen c7. It's okay, but I'm not that enthusiastic about it. This is obviously bad. b6, maybe. I mean, I don't know. There's some nasty cheapos around here. I'd rather not play b6. So I just don't know how to protect that pawn. I guess queen c7 would get my vote at the end of the day, right? That was good cognac. Alright. Don't forget to spend your prize money on cognac. So castles, yeah, of course. He doesn't take the pawn. Yeah, a real hillbilly. Hanging the knight on g5. And I've seen enough. Alright. Congratulations, Astrobate. Good game. That's like the 20th time that one of Astrobate's opponents has hung his knight on g5 in a similar structure. To give this guy, a break, usually they hang it on like move 4. And he lost it on move 7, which is really, really late in the game to be dropping your knight on g5. And if you think it's funny that this guy hung his knight on g5, I once lost a tournament game, the fastest game I ever lost in 6 moves, where I literally hung my knight on g5 to the queen the same way in a club championship game in like 1992, or it was a closed tournament. So even a master in a slow game could be as stupid as this. I'm like the only one, but okay, we're gonna go through the rest quickly. This is just like murder. Queen g4 is a very strange move. Not because you're trading queens, because you're breaking up your structure. But I told him 100 times not to keep the pieces on the board when you're on material. I think castling kingside would be like a tad more logical. But you're hanging the exchange now. Nice job hanging the exchange there. Anyway, he used 2 minutes for the whole game. And when you see that he only used 2 minutes for the whole game, you're like, wow, that wasn't too bad. He didn't notice the knight was hanging, because he's using like 30 seconds for the whole game. Now the knight is trapped on a7. Alright, anyway. Enough is enough. Thanks, Astrobate. Interesting early stage there. Bishop e5, final position. I'm going to just cut to the chase here, because we're running low on time. This was a nice crisscross pattern with the 2 bishops. The Cherniak game. You remember that, Uber Driver? People thought I was on drugs. I blame it on like playing in a strange environment. Like, they made us play in this other weird like back room of the chess club where I never played very much. And it's just like, no, I mean, it was like we left, went to the back room, and they came back in like 20 minutes, and I lost. And everybody thought I was on drugs or something. It was just weird. I wasn't taking any kind of, drugs or smoking weed or anything. Everybody just drops a piece, I played e3 and like unprotected my own knight on g5. It was funny. Alright, who's next? Resident Spectre. Thanks, guys, for the support. Uber Driver donated 500 bits. Let's get the hype train started. Haven't had a hype train in a while. Mr. Slowhand with 2 gift subs. One of them to Andreas Ruprecht. We had a follow from Hakon Matata. And Stroopy got a gift sub. So thank you, guys. No, I like it when like strong players come by the stream. It's rare, unusual. Sometimes Tot Andrash should stop by. Once in a while, Vital Vente will raid the stream. But I find that most strong players, like I am and above, they're really egotistical, and so normally everyone is too egotistical to kind of, I don't know, give the time of day to other players. All they care about is like being competitive. So it's nice when a good player stops by. All right, Goiju against Resident Spectre. So this is like a double. Goichu's been a subscriber too. I was talking about this about Heinrich Danielson. I mean, I played him in the World Senior, and most grandmasters are kind of like egotistical, and they don't want to share knowledge or have a conversation or analyze after the game. And thanks, Stroopy. But the thing I noticed about Danielson was like he said he's not a professional chess player. He's actually like a working in a hospital, and so That's like the first tip off that they're like normal, you know. If you meet a grandmaster who has like an everyday job and he's not actually just a chess player, they're probably going to be a lot more normal in terms of like social skills and stuff like that. So it wasn't surprising to me that the Danielson was more normal than most, like, you know, so-called professional chess players, and and socially, you know, not socially retarded or arrogant or anything like that. Okay, anyway, back to the topic. Resident Inspector against Goju. This game was submitted by Resident Inspector. Knight f3, knight f6, g3, blah, 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 blah. It's Leningrad Dutch, castle, castle, c4, and then an unusual move here, that's not bad, c6. The only drawback of this move is that it probably doesn't have much independent value. Other than that, it's fine. Normally you would play like d6 and later c6. Not sure if there's any way White can take advantage of it. I kind of doubt it, you know. So now you're supposed to play d6, and we have a standard Leningrad. I played a million games here. Just had a Leningrad at the World Senior too, against this French guy, who was just not a random player. Although he was like only 2150, he was a former French correspondence champion. He had actually been over 2300, so good player. Knight c3, e6. This is not good. I do not know what Black's doing here. It's Swiss cheese. For further, you know, like, research on the concept of Swiss cheese, you want to get the book. I'm actually highlighting the wrong square there, but you might want to get the book, The Most Instructive Chess Games Ever Played by Chernev, which is one of the cheapest chess books you can buy. It's like a Dover paperback. If you've ever bought a chess book in your life, like, and you don't own The Most Instructive Chess Games Ever Played, it's like the best kind of like what I would call beginner's book in a sense of all time. Yeah, I mean, it's mixing apples and oranges. It's just not good is what it is, you know. Gina Rook, it's not like Black has some master strategy here, you know. You're mixing two systems that don't go together. So Rubinstein had this game where he was white. It was worse than this. It was a Queen's Gambit of some sort, but Black had terrible weaknesses on the dark squares. So I would want to play for e4. But likely Black's going to follow up with d5 at some point and just play, you know, a weird stonewall. So I think there's a real question as to what the best move is here for White. I mean, he can play d6, but he could have played that in the first place. And I think if Black plays, you know, if White gets an e4, Black is screwed. Let's just put that out there now. If it's not like a classical Dutch, like the Simon Williams version where you play d6, e6, bishop e7, and play for e5, if it's like a Leningrad or a Stonewall and White, you know, achieves e4, Black, basically the Dutch is refuted. If you achieve e4 with White, I mean, oftentimes like Black's in a lot of trouble. So I think if you play, for example, Queen c2, it should be like really apparent to everybody that this move is like literally forced. You don't have another option here. I mean, if White is allowed to play e4, Black is like strategically screwed forever. So with a move like Queen c2, we can basically make Black declare his hand. But that's the question, like, does White have something better, maybe? You know? Maybe bishop g5 with a sneaky... You know, it's a different case if we get something like this, by the way. Not all e4s are created equal. If I have to give up my dark square bishop, and I have this sort of, like, squishy Squishy dark squares. And this is actually probably good for white, but just saying, like, in general, this factor might matter, you know, like the dark square weakness. Nevertheless, bishop g5 is probably a good move. Let's see what you did. b4. Yeah, I don't love it, I don't hate it. It's a move. Another idea, maybe rook b1, getting off the long diagonal and you know, doing the same thing eventually. And there's also actually c5 is a funkadelic idea. Maybe d5. If there's a direct refutation, this is it. No, let's stop here. I was talking about e4, but actually, maybe this just destroys black, like right out of the gate. This looks really nasty. I mean, c5 is interesting. Dude, I mean, this is the stone wall. That's the stone wall here. That's not a good stone wall. So in the normal stone wall, we're getting in d5, right? Hard to break. But if we can play this now, is it me or am I just... Yeah, black's in a lot of trouble. This got to be best move. Oh, wow. Gina Rook dialed into Stockfish and got c5. Is there a chance you could elaborate on that? You don't get d5. You don't get d5. Well, this is your game, so it's important. Well, Gina Rook's computer move c5 is apparently better. But I think, you know, you can get d5. The downside of d5 is that you would open up his bishop on the long diagonal. You know, and that's not great for white, right? You know, that's a counter factor. But, dude, look at his pieces on the back rank here. You know? How... I mean, in any case where he's taking here, he is like a horrible position. There's like weakness here, here. Sorry, here, here, here. All of these squares look horrible. Any kind of takes is bad. So black basically has to do that. This happened. Oh my god. This has actually happened. A Lichess game. He was playing the World Senior in the 65 division. Lichess is like I think a Ukrainian grandmaster. He looked good for 65. One of the top competitors there. Nakamura, you know, he loved to play the Dutch. Nakamura Ponomarev. This is black's best chance. But this is a good, you know, this is a good Leningrad. It's unbelievable that white didn't win a single game here. I even liked knight d4. No one played that. Wow. I have some crazy ideas about this position. How does black deal with this? Do we have knight takes c6? Ponomarev, he was intimidated by Nakamura. No, seriously, like, what does black play here? This is a disaster. It's like, it's almost as bad as Sarawan versus Tisdall. There's this epic game where Yasser, like, destroyed Jonathan Tisdall, where he sacked a piece and created, like, a protected passer on e6. Classic Yasser. One of his best games. No, I mean, c5 is lost. The only move for black is e5, right? Maybe this holds on. But what I wasn't sure about was this. Holy shit. So pawn takes c6, pawn takes d4, and then sacking a second knight. Right? You like take here. Uh-oh. Wow. Dude, this is like over, right? Oh, you're getting the rook. We're getting the rook. We're up the exchange. Maybe there's a last hope or something. Wow. Plus 4.8. You're telling me Ponomarev couldn't find this move. Dude, it's not that difficult. That's embarrassing, man. He couldn't find knight d4. He's like 2750. What do they pay these guys for? So apparently, okay, black has a better move. Queen e7. This is best. It's better than e5. It kind of holds on, sort of. Yeah. This isn't so bad. And then the computer comes with the ultra sophisticated queen b3. But I think that most people here would exchange. Wait, is a huge advantage. No, this actually drops this. What are we talking about? This loses a pawn. Oh, man. So, okay, that's why you said c5, but I mean, black's lost anyway. After d6, yeah, after d5, I mean, black's basically strategically lost, it looks like. Bob, thanks for the donation. Bob pledged to donate to the stream. Thank you, Bob. Basically positionally busted. Wow. It's impressive. So b4 not as good. Anyway, I got carried away there. Sorry, guys. Now you have to like zoom through the rest of the game. So it's very closed now. Despite white's space advantage, the closed nature of the position gives black's, chances to hold on. The following move, I don't advocate. Abdicate or advocate? I don't abdicate the crown. This is too important here, Resident Spectre. I like bishop f4, and we just kind of cling to this square, although maybe this is a problem. I guess you have to consider this. Okay, this is going to require some calculation. I don't think that's good for black. When you go a little further and you're like, you know what? Like, I don't think this position is okay for black. Oh, I had a weird dream. I just remembered. Too much nuclear rhetoric in the politics. I had this weird dream about nuclear weapons. Okay, it just came back to me. Thinking about nuclear weapons. That position made me think about nuclear weapons. So 92 is really bad. I mean, dude, you're all over the e5 square, and you just need to play bishop e5, and you own black here. And you just let him, if you let him play e5, he might have a game. See this? That's what the French guy at the World Senior did against me, or what he did in another game. In a similar Leningrad that I had analyzed. Not me, actually. It wasn't against me, but this is a common idea in the Leningrad. See this control of this e5 square? It's really bad. You messed up with knight d2. And now black just completely left the building. The entire point is e5. I mean, what is black doing here? You just fixed your whole position. I mean, black did. It's like the Museum of Science. It's alive. Black wasn't alive until he has control of this key square in the center, and now he's alive. If h3, you've got either pawn takes pawn or knight h6. So black's fine. Is he fine? Okay, let's go a little further. h3, pawn takes pawn. It has to be pawn takes pawn. And now knight takes, and now we go either here or here. Black should be okay. At least okay. You can adopt me! Just, yeah, don't get, executed for speaking out against the government. Keep it to yourself for now. Knight b3, a6, f3. I was thinking today about what happened in Iran, and it's so ridiculous. It's like they're literally executing someone for speaking against God who doesn't exist. Let's not say God doesn't exist. Let's just say, like, God isn't even proven to exist. You can't prove God exists, and they're executing people for insulting him. It's like I was thinking, what happened in Iran with this execution is basically it's like the witch trials from the 1600s again. You're basically having literally a witch trials now in the 21st century, executing someone for disputing God. It's unbelievable. That's our political moment for the day. Oh, you don't say, Bob. But you need the waves of followers who believe in God, Bob. Without those waves of followers, the ruling class would have no chance. All right. A6, F3. Did Bob start this political stuff? No, that was me. It's like crazy. You have a second chance to right your wrong, and you didn't play bishop F4 here. Right your wrongs. Well, you can always play F4, but now your bishop is a pawn. Now both sides have pawn bishops. This game wasn't great. I don't like this. Can we agree to a draw here already and just call it off? 2 blocked. Alright. Can we do e4? So much for e4. He played f4. He's like, alright. Okay, f4. I resign. It's a stalemate. It's checkers. We're in Checkerville. Ooh, that's not a good idea. Why does black need to do this? Like, it's just a draw, man. Accept that it's a draw and move on. But black plays b6, like hanging his own pawn on c6. It was too locked up for either side to, like, realistically make progress. This is a dubious situation. Why not just... Oh, I see. Okay, you had to. Well, I mean, okay, your pawn is hanging. How did this happen? Queen takes c6, knight takes c6 here. Maybe white had a better move now? But not easy. Man, I'd love to get this here, here, and here. Can you get to c5? Alright. There's a simple solution. White just needs to play rook e2. And you guard the 7th rank, and you keep this protected, and then you're going to play here and plug it in. plug it in. Yeah, white's winning. White's winning with the extra pawn. But this is bad. You gave him a lot of counterplay. And I think, like, here, wow. This is just insane. Think about it logically. Why would black take this bad bishop when he can take the good one? It's like things that make you go, that song. I don't want your good bishop. I want the bad one. That's like a pawn blocked in. He totally took the wrong bishop. Goju is just playing, I would say he's playing too fast for himself. And he does that a lot. Now white's got it under control. Oops. I don't know. That's the second pawn. Yeah, it's enough. Alright, a lot of positional mistakes in that game. Yabatis is finally up. Guys, we gotta move faster. I'm sorry, I've been really into these games. I've been really, into analyzing. Yabatis versus Vici. So, knight c3, d5, e4. You know what happened to me the other day, Yabatis? How do you feel when people... Is Yabatis here? Our stream helper? Because I felt really ill when someone played this against me the other day. How do you feel when you play knight c3 and your opponent plays c6? No, I have a really good resident inspector. I have a lot of experience playing against Leningrad Dutch, because when I lived in Boston, our club champion was like a really, really strong FIDE master from Leningrad. I had a lot, ironically, he played the Leningrad against me a lot, so I have extensive experience. I really hate this Caro-Kann thing, it drives me nuts. Okay, so d5, e4, d4. And e5 is like theoretically black's best move, and now, yeah, c6 is a strong move against knight c3. Obviously, you gotta play the Caro-Kann to do that. Welcome, by the way, Dr. Tripchance. Knight g3 seems to be a bit more popular. So bishop e4 check, c3 is good for white, right? This is just good for white. Popchev was 2480 in 1985. Wow. Damn. 1985. That's a long time ago. That was like the year I started to play chess over the board. Alright. d3, bishop d6. And then g3. I was mentioning to you about this, like, f4 is yeah, I always feel like Mr. Coffee's the same age as me, but he's actually younger. You used way too much time to that move. We're talking about something else. Okay, f4 is interesting. g3, knight e7. Now that's a subtle move. I mean, I guess if you go back, this is theoretically, I don't know, how do we evaluate this? e5, d3. I think somewhere g6 was being, the computer was saying maybe g6. It like c5. Knight e7 right away. Also interesting. Another interesting move is like h5. Thanks, Bob. I feel older too. Bob has a way of making people feel good about themselves. It's just such a natural skill. How do you brighten everyone's day so much? There's just not enough Xanax going around, Bob, for that. D3, bishop d6, g3, 97, bishop g2. Yeah, as I said to Yabatis, like, this is an interesting move. Nana Gapardashvili was a Nona. Sorry, Nana. She is a Nana, but she's a Nona. Nona Gapardashvili kept playing this setup at the World Senior where she would like do this every single game. She always like traded off her light square bishop, then played like f3 and knight f2. This is her like pet opening. Just lock up the whole board like it's checkers. It's really good, I guess, if you're like 80 years old. You just kind of try to eliminate the tactics from the position and just like, you know, play checkers. But I don't think Yabatis likes, you know, trading the light square bishop. I gotta turn the engine off here. Is there any chance we can hit black with pawn takes pawn? My favorite quote about the King's Indian is like the most important. This is my quote. The most important moment in the King's Indian is when we decide to take or push f5. Yeah, if anybody needs some Wellbutrin, just give me a holler. I'm not gonna do that. But I heard it's good for smoking. Alright, smoking cessation maybe. f5. So can we see this pawn takes pawn? I mean, my idea is here, knight g5, and now, if you let me, I'm gonna play the unbelievable c3, just for argument's sake, here, with the very subtle threat of queen b3 check, and total devastation on the light squares. I mean, you got some extra Wellbutrin? No, I didn't even touch it. I heard it makes you kind of hyper. I don't want that, you know. Okay, knight g5. So what about bishop takes? Is that the real move? Maybe that's the answer. It's just like bishop takes e5. Zyban, I've heard of that. I don't know, anyway. I think it's an interesting concept. What does the computer say? f5? Wow, so this is an interesting position. If pawn takes pawn, knight g5, queen d7, then c3, destroying black's center, or attempting to do so, followed by knight on ec6, knight e6, queen e6, and queen b3, I would assume. Why can't I play queen b3 here? White's got to be better in this position. I just can't believe it. I mean, look at the light square bishop. Once it gets in, it's going to like be a nuclear bomb. If that bishop gets loose into like e6, it's really big problem for black. All right. So you pushed bishop f7, castles. It's basically a King's Indian now after c5, g4, and a very serious threat of like g5. So I guess if you play g5, maybe black has like bishop h5. What about g5? You didn't like this? Camel culture? I mean camel culture. Other camel. Spectacular camel. So he plays h4. I mean, I have a question. Like, why do you need to play h4? You just want to recapture the pawn on g5. I get it. You don't need to play it. You wanted to play it. Yeah, I get it. Okay. But I mean, I have to be honest with you. Like, I think this is strong. Like, directly. I remember, like, John Fedorovich, as a King's Indian player, would always talk about how he doesn't want to play h5 because it takes away the square from his pieces. You know, you might be able to use the h4 for your knight, or come over here. You know, there's a lot of cases where maybe you don't want to play h4. Yeah, I think King h8 is a no-brainer. Actually, Gina Rook. I mean, of course. Black just didn't know that move existed in this game. It's very weird. They were clearly out of their element. I mean, they understood counterplay on the queen side. But, you know, after... Oh, by the way, like, this position, we talked about this, and this move... According to Dvoretsky, you don't weaken yourself on the opponent's strong side. That's classic chess strategy. So you should switch to knight c3 to see such a nice King's Indian pawn roller. Yeah. Actually, Mr. Slow, I wouldn't be surprised if knight c3 has good results. You know, in German, it's the Linkspringer. I think a lot of people, they don't even... It's like the Nimzovich defense that has the best score against e4. People just don't have worked out like what to play against knight c3, so therefore it ends up being a kind of good option. But a3 is controversial. I kept trying to find ways that black could take advantage of this. You know, ways that black could take advantage of white's a3 here. Traditionally, as a King's Indian player, you don't want to weaken your queenside, but he said he wanted to maneuver queen e1, queen g3 without allowing knight b4 and coming in here. So I think it's okay. I can't find a refutation. I looked at this. But I still agree with Gina Rook that black should play king h8 ASAP. That should be like the first thing he does. What does black do, right? Like seriously, a5. I mean, it's okay, but like, what are you doing? Like preventing b4? a5 is not a bad move, but I'm not sure it would be my first choice here. Maybe b5? With the idea of like b4 is more fluid. Yeah, well, they're not going to be any endgame if white's kingside attack lands quickly. It almost looks like black like was responding to a3 with a5, like preventing b4. It feels like that, you know. Obviously, this move is possible. It didn't occur to me until now. How do we deal with bishop h5? Because on this, black has bishop g4. Then you unpin, right, with queen e1, which was your point in the first place. And black will have to probably give this up. And then imagine if this happens. How many people have like checkmated a Mr. Slow? Mr. Slow, who loves the King's Indian. How many people have we checkmated with the bishop on this diagonal? There's also queen b1, queen a2. But maybe black's a5 will come in handy, so he can play a4. In all seriousness, a5 is not that bad. It's not that bad a move. g5, and now king h8, absolutely. But this is like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, how much time do you think you have here to play knight c8? I mean, that's crazy. That's just insane. Queen e1, and then b5. Black thinks he has all the time in the world to do whatever. And then queen g3, and now, obviously, you have to play king h8 here. And then the question is, maybe h5 can be played as a pawn sack. Oh my god, I didn't even think of this. You know, we didn't consider this. Well, knight c8 is like an improving the knight move, but h5 is possible. But the best move is g6. Oh, anyway, he didn't play king h8, so wouldn't want to make a sensible move like that. After queen g3, white has a slight threat. I think black was like only anticipating g6. So his problem was that he thought it was the only threat, and then suddenly it's like mate, and you lose your queen because of bishop g5. Black just didn't understand there was another threat. So that's pretty sad. Okay, T-Bot Poo has double games in the stream. T-Poo-Bot. I have T-Poo-Bot versus Tapvargan and T-Poo-Bot versus Mr. Coffee. So Mr. Coffee submitted his game with T-Poo-Bot. Mr. Coffee calling you out. Alright, it's a Kali system. Kali. Lassie opening. Ugh. I was just like, this is the third time this week I've seen this kind of move. I don't understand d6. Can anyone explain that to me? Oh, my bishop on c8 can move. Okay. I just don't understand, like, leaving this behind, right? Like, first of all, T-Poo-Bot, you should just play g6. Take my advice on this. Just play g6, although you'll have to, like, deal with the Mamajarov attack, which is actually very popular. That's a problem. I mean, if you don't like, you know, allowing a delayed Benoni, Mr. Coffee would never do that against you, but some people will. If you're playing a tricky opponent like Mamajarov, they might bust like the delayed d5 on you. So it's important to understand that this is a possibility. The exchange on d4, okay, it's not bad. I just think it's kind of committal. Now, what's the best move for black? b5. Obviously, b5 is the best move. Where's Bob? Oh, even Checkmaters is here. Clearly, b5 is the best move. You guys would believe anything. Oh, man. No, you'll believe anything. If I said, you know... b5, bishop takes b5... Queen a5 check. b5 circumvents c4. So that's the best move now. I'm just kidding around. Yeah, I mean, d5. This is it, man. This is it. You equalized. Black has equalized on move 4. I was just trying to troll people. Fundamentally, I mean, d5 is black's best move. There's no question. I mean, after d5, it's a Panov, but knight on f3 isn't even like the best. It's not even like the best Panov move order. You know, white should have the knight on c3 optimally. Nevertheless, there's lots of other moves you can play. You know, because d5 is the best move doesn't mean you should play d5. If you're playing a 2600, you probably should. You can play b6, you can play e6, you can play g6. Sorry, not g5. But I don't like what you know, why play d6? I don't get it, you know. Why do this? Your d-pawn has the option to go to d5 or d6. Why commit it? I think the more important question is like where you're developing your bishops, for example. Are you playing g6? Are you playing e6? Are you playing b6? Black should play one of those moves. I think b6 might have a problem on c4. We have to... I mean, I tried to do this kind of stuff. It's probably okay. I guess if you go too far and you try to do too many fianchettos, I can get in trouble. I tried to do this, but d5 is the best move. Anyway, I don't like d6. It's funny, like, black has never lost this move. It just doesn't have any independent significance. c4 is best. Mr. Coffee, way to go. It's funny. I mean, d6 is literally like a slightly inaccurate move, and black has never lost with it, because Mamadjarov is playing black, and Andrew Martin, and Golubka. Literally, Mamadjarov is the only really strong player who's ever played this move. So of course he didn't lose. c4 is best, and you're just playing, you know, Mr. Coffee. Why? Why bishop e2? So early. Mr. Coffee messes up here. There's no reason to commit your bishop to e2 or d3 yet. First knight c3, that's gonna like always go to c3. But I think the question comes to this, you know, when black plays bishop g7 now Mr. Coffee has to decide, does he want to play like experimental? Because there's some argument for d5 here. The d5 is screw you. I have a space advantage, and I'm strategically better. Played by Timofeyev. Bishop e2 is like cautious, safe move. h3 is interesting, preventing bishop g4. And you know what? Nobody had the guts to play this, and it seems weird, but I would actually think that maybe black should think about playing d5. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if the computer, like, if I turn on Stockfish now, how many people, without cheating, how many people think about the likelihood is that the d6, d5 is black's best move? What do you guys think? This position, 4 master games, no one played it, everyone automatically castled. What if I said to you that like there's a strong chance like d5 might be black's best move? Let's see. Oh! What do I know, you know? What do I know? Because they're human beings. They're human beings. They're like, oh, I'm not going to play d5 because I already played d6. But you have to understand the importance of the structure. If you don't play d5, I will. So that's why I said it's like the screw you variation. If you castle, I have d5 here. Maybe black's okay because of e6. I think black has to play like uber dynamically. But I still think that d5 is fine. There's nothing wrong with d5. This is like strategically, it's an Alekhine defense. You need to play d5. Why did Gina Rook play d6? That's the question. Alright. It's whoever plays d5 first is better, probably. Oh shit. Oh shit. So this player from 2021, Hannes Rukolkowski, played d5 in 2 moves. Holy shit. He did it. I'd rather be a tempo down, with the right structure. Mr. Coffee played too cautiously with bishop e2. And now you definitely go d5, I think. If you let black play d5, she has a good game. What's the best move for black? Well, you guessed it. If black doesn't play d5 here, black is worse. Forever. For the rest of their natural life. You have to play d5 here. Wojtkiewicz versus Martha. I mean, white is like a tempo up, so maybe white has something, but it's funny, Wojo didn't play c5. What did he do? He did like rook e1. Wojo took. It's just a Tarash with reverse colors. Black is a tiny bit better. This is horrible. Knight c6. Okay, it's experimental, but it's not good. I mean, knight c6 is like really waving the red flag in front of the bull. You're asking for it there. Of course, d5. But Mr. Coffee, he's not used to playing this yet. He's playing the Kali system. That's an acerbate move. You guys know this move? Anybody? A lot of my students play this move. It's the I don't know what to do, so I'm going to play a6 move. That's what acerbate does when he doesn't know what to do. I play a6. So I mean, Mr. Coffee just cut down d5. There's no more d5 because now I just take this and I'll pawn. So bishop g5 is not a bad move. White's just better. He can play d5 at any time now with advantage. But you got to be comfortable with the structure you're playing. White has a huge spatial edge here. And this is awkward. I wouldn't do a3. I think just d5. But honestly, Mr. Coffee doesn't have to do d5 because black's not really threatening to do anything about it. Is she going to play e5? What if you just play like rook d1? What can she do about it? a3 slightly weakens your position, but I still think it's okay. I mean, b4 and c5 is an okay plan. Now Mr. Coffee finally played d5, but it feels like an awkward moment to play it. Why are you playing d5 now, exactly when she can play like knight a5? So it's bad. Mr. Coffee needs to improve his calculation. Strategically, you're okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a sort of okay move. But I mean, having played a3, I'm concerned about this, man. You got knight a5, you made a hole here for yourself, plus c4 and the rook on c8. If you're going to be consistent, you need to play b4 for white. And now she has serious problems, I think. Black is just clearly worse. But after this, you got knight a5 and you have a double threat. So he found queen f4. Okay, it's a good move, I guess, but you do have this. And that's pretty awkward. I mean, doesn't black have maybe a b5? So what about this here? Can we... You just can't do it, huh? Mr. Coffee, with the coordination, we're just going to eat that pawn. Knight h5 doesn't do anything special. It just... White has more than one move here. This looks... Okay, yeah. I mean, obviously taking here is like strategic suicide for black. So... Impressive play by Mr. Coffee, actually. Yeah, Queen f4 is strong. It's the quadrant. These queens are always good. Queen f4. Yeah, if b5 doesn't work, I mean, black, I guess, is in trouble. But at least try this here. Your knight is okay on b3. Objectively, what does the computer say? Wow. Black is okay. Wow. Yeah, someone called out bishop f5. It's a computer line. So you're threatening to play bishop c2. So both Gina Rook and Mr. Coffee need to improve in every respect, tactically, strategically. Mr. Coffee never should let the knight slip through a5. That was an error. But the queen c7 is slow, attacking this. Looks reasonable. But now what? You know, are you going to break here and like hang a piece? She just didn't know what to do. And white's now threatening... Is white threatening b4? Maybe not. You know, because you have the ultimate... If white plays b4, you take on c4 and then pin it with... You pin it with b5, so... You know, theoretically you could just like go here. White would play b4, black would take. White would take with something. And then eventually get pinned, right? I mean, no matter what you do, eventually you get pinned. Maybe there's some kind of tactic at the end of the day where you win a piece, you get lucky. But who knows? Alright. That's it. That's it. Fianchetto knight. Pawn on b4. Last chance is like breaking out with b5. You better do it fast. Whoa, Mr. Coffee with c5. I think he might, you know, he might be one of those engines. Holy shit, dude. He played c5 here. I don't think I would have even conceived of c5. Wow. I definitely would have played rook c1 if I was white. Just guarding this and kind of, you know, eyeing the c file. Is this really working? I guess it's like an exchange of this pawn for this pawn. Why didn't she take this way? That's the real question, right? Was this a bluff? Was this a Mr. Coffee bluff? After c5? B takes? I don't get it. He was playing for her time pressure. c5, b takes c, bishop takes a6, takes here. It looks like okay for black. The c5 was just playing for time. I mean, just sensible move now. White has a clear advantage. Yeah, c5 was a mistake. She recaptured the wrong way. It looks like even this is okay for black. Now black is okay. Position is equal. Final position, not equal. Wow, black's winning. What? Did I miss something here? Black's plus 3.5. White's down a pawn. I forgot he lost a pawn. Wow. So he never took his pawn on a6. Hey, you need that pawn? This is actually good. I mean, I think that b takes was good as well. So your move is actually good. And Mr. Coffee needs to play bishop takes a6. Alright, guys. I mean, you gotta understand the importance of d5 in these type of structures. Tipu bought another game, gets double games. Double Tipu bought another exchange Caro-Kann structure. This time with white. So there's no excuse. Okay, this is going to be a little different because we're playing not c4. And black's already played d5. I just don't get this, you know, like why would black want to play e6 and like block in their bishop on c8? Having said that, it's not that bad. No, I mean, I've seen it done. I've seen it done. It's like an exchange Slav. I guess the argument would be it's not as bad as it looks. Yeah, I mean, like the main line's bishop g4, which I played a million times. g6 is okay. Not as good as bishop g4. Yeah, so this is another weird move. I mean, I assume black could play like a6, although it doesn't really do anything. I'm not sure really objectively what a6 does. I guess it takes away queen b3. So you're trying to play like a delayed, maybe a delayed bishop g4. John Bartholomew played this and lost. Oh, Bob. Oh my god. We don't want to get Bob excited. The idea would be, you know, queen b3 can be met by knight a5 even more powerfully. That's interesting. So, e6, knight f3. Now, what's the best move for white? Is this a London system? So let me just like understand. We're directly transposing to a London system at this point. Gina Rook, congratulations on playing the white side of the London system. Very proud of you for that. Yeah, bishop g3 is completely the best move, it looks like. When we play this move, so we keep the status quo. 1, 2, 3. Black has 1, 2. So white maintains the status quo in terms of controlling the e5 square. The problem with bishop takes d6 is if you do bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, suddenly it's like 1, 2, 1, 2. So white loses, at least temporarily, their advantage in terms of controlling the e5 square. So bishop g3, and now Rubinstein, you know, played the London with white, and he had games, and he criticized black for playing c takes d. There's really no benefit for black in that pawn exchange in this type of structure. If you put the pawns back on the board with e3 and c5, we have a mainline London system type position. How does that exchange of pawns benefit black? How does black exchanging a 4th rank pawn for a 3rd rank pawn, how does that benefit black, ultimately? It doesn't. You know, it doesn't benefit black. It benefits white. White trades a 3rd rank pawn for a 5th rank pawn. That's good for black. I mean, good for white, sorry. And so what is Tapvargan doing here? This is even worse. So now a6. That doesn't do anything. You know, a minority attack with b5. It's something, but I don't know. Can black play something else? Anything like knight e4, knight h5, something. Pretty much anything more dynamic. If you castle, you're committed. a6 is really ugly. And now black exchange on g3. So I wanted to think, you know, maybe you should take with the f pawn here. Gina rook. The way the game went down, though, it looks like clearly you made the right decision taking with the h pawn. It ends up being like the h file is fatal. But I don't think this is obvious, you know, like this also has something going for it. Although if queen b6, we have to probably realize the threat of e5. Is e5 a real thing? For example, queen c2, e5. Knight takes e5. Knight takes e5, rook e1. And then some crazy ass move like, I don't even know what's going on here anymore. So, don't curse. You took back toward the center. And now queen d6. Rook e1. Ideally, like, you want to have the other rook on e1. Gina rook. So knight d2, queen e2, rook a e1. And then knight e5 and f4 and a Stonewall attack against the Stonewall guy. It's funny, Gina rook played the Stonewall attack against Stonewall, man. It's really funny. Okay. Now rook e1. This is better. Magnus Carlsen would play queen e2. Because the other rook wants to be on e1. Yeah, I mean, maybe black can find a way to play here in a less conventional fashion where you don't commit to castling kingside. You know, h5, knight e5, for example. I mean, I think h5 is not that crazy, right? The center isn't open, and maybe there's like h4, maybe knight g4 or something. Is it that insane? This looks pretty strong for white. So my only suggestion here is, I guess, h5. It doesn't look correct, but maybe it's possible. But I think that black is already in big trouble. So now here, and then knight e5. So, knight d7, anyone? Can we do this? It's like, is it over? Yeah. This is like game over immediately. You can't play knight d7. It's just ironic that Tapvargan would get such a bad position against his own favorite setup. b5, and now you might have made a mistake. I don't know. a3 is worth considering, because that minority attack is kind of slow to progress. Well, I mean, b5 too slow here. I have no idea what to suggest for black. I mean, what else can he do, really? This also gives him maybe rook a7 laterally defending. I think rook, you know, b5 is a normal move. You could also like try to play on the queen side. It's possible you could do this type of thing. Going. But I don't know about knight f3. This is kind of a weird move. You're leaving this e4 square soft. So black could play this. Take, sack a pawn. Bob, sack a ponda. And then sack the ponda. I would rather sack a pawn than get checkmated any day of the week. I don't know how you guys feel. But just, you know, for kicks and giggles, like we could play bishop e7 and be down a pawn and not getting checkmated. I think it's an option. At least in a practical game, right? Knight f3, b4. Yeah, I thought you should have played a3, honestly. No, I think that knight f3 is a positional mistake that people make all the time. Your knight is now redundant when you play knight f3. This knight's job is to protect the e4 square. It's doing its job. You're playing kind of robotically with knight f3. You're like, oh, he might just let me play, you know, knight g5 and attack. He has this, you know, he can defend f7. I don't think like knight f3, knight g5 is a big deal. You're getting in the way of your f pawn. Yeah, this is actually a mistake, I think, for white. And black, you know, black should defend better. I'm serious. Sack a pawn, whatever it takes, you know. I like rook a7 defending laterally. What would Anatoly Karpov, the canceled Karpov, do? Okay, b4, and then this was actually pretty spicy. Not a bad idea. Maybe okay, take, and then here. I guess this is where he lost the game, effectively. What the heck is g6? Why did black play g6? He just likes having a really bad bishop. I mean, he could have played rook a7. He could have played, like, anything. I mean, rook b8. Maybe not anything. Alright, he could have played knight e4, like I was suggesting. Sacrifice a pawn. But I mean, white has a lot of pawn weaknesses. It's not like white is just a pawn up for nothing. And there's nothing happening here yet. I think this is like the worst move, g6. What is the point of g6? And he just like weakened himself here. So now you zoned in on that. I wonder, now it might be too late now. This just looks really strong. And then knight h5, I guess, is just lost. So this is our last chance. But it doesn't look great. Bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes, and then swinging over. But I mean, at least black would have a bishop. There's a lot of better moves black could have played. He walked right into this, though. This is over. Speaking of queen f4. And then the only move has to be, I guess, like rook f8. Trying to break out with f6. I suppose this could get really nasty. It doesn't look good for black. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, rook h7 is on the horizon. Like, yeah. Anyway, guys, I gotta move along. Move along now. So, knight g7, it's lost. Very straightforward Stonewall attack. Of all people, you know, Staffvargan should have seen this coming. He closes the line, but he's just lost now. He's just like dropping a piece, dropping a rook, and then Gina rook lost on time. Okay, great game by white. There were some inaccuracies. Okay, so Sumaher is up next against Miki. Thanks, guys, for supporting the stream. Mr. Coffee, Someone on Sound, Gina Rook. Scandinavian Master has followed. Don't forget to start up the hype train. Tomorrow we're going to host some rapid chess in the morning. I like the fact that, Gina, you're like the only person on my stream who doesn't play for time, you know, and puts like trying to play good chess ahead of trying to play for time. So there's that, you know, even if you lost. Being results oriented doesn't matter. We're here to learn how to play better chess. It's online chess, you know. So Schumacher with white against the higher rated Miki, bishop g5. So positional mistakes, Gina Rook. Everybody does that knight f3 thing. You know who did that against me the other day? Was it my game? It was my Elephant Gambit game, right? My Elephant Gambit game against Prethia. Was it you? I played the Elephant Gambit against somebody, and white did like knight d2, knight f3. Yeah, that was it. It was the Elephant Gambia, the Gambia elephant. The Gambian elephant game. It was the same principle where you did like knight d2, knight f3, and then I was able to play knight e4 because the guardian knight was like gone. You had the knights that were redundant. It's the same thing as in the Stonewall. Guys, there's a very strong move for black here. I don't think that Sumer, you know, I don't know, Mickey doesn't play much on the stream, but c5. I've showed this before. It's extremely strong. This is probably black's best move. There is no reason to play any other variations, and it's very similar to the Trompowsky. Like years ago, in the 90s, everybody thought, oh, knight e4 is the move against Trompowsky. Why? Because it feels aggressive, right? But you're not developing any pieces. You're just moving the same piece twice. So it's the same thing in the Grunfeld. It took like Dubov to figure this out, by the way. Yeah, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Black should play c5. This is a better move. I mean, you're just destroying white's center immediately. This is the bomb. I mean, this variation refutes bishop g5 practically. I mean, it doesn't refute it, but black equalizes at least. So this, whatever, you know, it's all good for black. Yeah, it's interesting. You can look at the games in this line, but look at the score. It's just ridiculous. White doesn't have a dark square bishop. Where the hell is his dark square bishop? He doesn't have one. You know, it's a really, really important variation. Black is at least equal. So I don't think we should play this. If you insist on playing bishop g5, I mean, maybe play like knight f3, bishop g7, and then bishop g5, a la, you know, Serwan Kasparov. But even there, c5 is still strong, I think. So I guess, you know, the truth is that, like, objectively, bishop g5 just isn't very good against the Grunfeld. That's it, you know. Just you need to play something else, objectively. Alright. So bishop g5, he doesn't know that, though, and he played knight e4. So this is okay for white. You mentioned h4. That's probably interesting. You know, speaking of variations against the Grunfeld, if you're going to get modern, maybe you should play h4, right? A lot of people are you know, playing h4. It has a good score. If you want to be aggressive, let's just play h4. You know, forget the bishop g5. I don't know, though. I mean, I haven't analyzed this. So, this is a crazy variation. Sumihara has had other games in this line. Now h4. No, it's possible they already played this before. These guys. So it's a weird position. Black has the bishop pair, which I like. I think objectively... The power of this bishop in the long run, it probably outweighs the fact that white has like a central superiority here. And queen a5 looks right too. What are you gonna do, you know, to my queen? Like play this, this, and this, or nothing's gonna attack that queen on a5. It's terrific. So I like black. h5. Now, fundamentally I like black, but I don't know what technically the best move is here. You know, this I would definitely consider. But he just plays bishop g7. So it makes sense. You recapture with a rook here. But what about h6? Bluban Mamedyarov 0-1. Well, I mean, it's kind of a tricky system. You could get in trouble. Gina Rook, good choice. She figured out bishop f6. Superior to bishop f8. But who knows? Alright, here. And then the blue baum. I don't know, man. It seems like a strange choice against Mamedyarov. Hey, I'm going to play like crazy sharp against Mamedyarov today. You've played this a lot? Really? Bad choice against Mamedyarov. I don't know. Keep it simple. Alright. Oh, so this was their game. This was actually what happened in the game. And you played this a lot? What are the chances? There's only one game here. Alpha Zero would say h6 all day. But black can castle. Don't forget. Yeah, I mean, now white played e3. I guess it's normal, but there might be another move. How about queen b3? It should be considered, right? I don't like this anymore for black after bishop takes f3. So I'm getting a bad feeling about bishop g4. We left the theory here on knight f3. Black messed up. So you guys, yeah, I mean, it's got to be this, right? It's like a lawnmower. I mean, c5 looks way more dynamic than bishop g4. You're gonna play c5 and then knight c6. Like, what's white gonna do? This is very fundamental. So this is a serious mistake. Getting the cart before the horse. And after e3, you know, well now, I mean, we're threatening to break the pin or something. But the b7 is weak. I have stuff like queen b3, the white squares. I actually like this better, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, but it should be a very serious option. Maybe it's not. If I have time, I would seriously consider taking with the pawn, trying to castle queenside. Anyway, this is fine. And that's like an unsuccessful Grunfeld. When black has to play c6 in the Grunfeld, something went wrong. It's no longer a Grunfeld, it's a Slav. And he played this. Why? Man, I mean, this looks better. You're on f7. I realize he can castle, but still. f7 seems more informative. This is so solid. Aha. If black castles queenside, I'm going to be like, oh man, you should have played bishop c4. King f1 is reasonable. I still think you should have played bishop c4. Yeah, Mickey's a good player, and he doesn't miss a chance to create some kind of complication. What about like d5? Wow. White has a problem coordinating. Otherwise, White has a great game. This is the main problem. But it's not a threat yet. Greedy. Hey, how's that e-file treating you? Black took some chances here. Ooh. Yeah, black... Although we really wish we had our bishop on c4 after all. Now you figured it out. Wow. Yeah, black was really wild in this game. That's a nice move. Oh, this was the craziness. Okay. So this is how it happened. Wow. Here, and then here. White is winning. Wow, wow. So that's how it happened. It looks like White's winning. I have a suggestion. How about bishop d3? I guess black will take on g4. So what's up with the last move? Knight here, here. I have a really weird idea. Can I play knight f7? Because this actually looks pretty good. I would think like white is close to winning here. I think he was a little too cautious maybe with king g2. You might miss your window of opportunity. So I see he piled up here. And then white just went all in. So this looks like critical position. Knight f7. Wow, it doesn't work. Knight f7 is actually close to equal, surprisingly. But that's the minimum. It turns out you have lots of good moves. But this may be too slow. And after here, I saw what happened later. Bam. I mean, maybe it's not the end of the world. Maybe we can just let him capture here on f2, right? So you lost your mind and you played like... Oh, I get it now. So if queen g4, rook takes f2 check, king g1, bishop h2. Oh my god. It's illegal. I thought I was getting mated, but it's illegal. But maybe black can just walk away. He's threatening bishop h2, right? So, here. That's so sick. Well, you can take on f8 and this is hanging. That's pretty funny. Alright. So what's happening here? King G1 and Queen B6. It's really not that good. Alright, so it's no good. This was the moment of truth. You just have to keep the position and find the right move here. Way too much speculation. You need to calculate. He just didn't calculate, and then it wasn't enough. It's just not enough. But Schumacher always does this. He just plays on intuition and doesn't calculate. You can't do without calculation. Okay, this is Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow. Okay, Mr. Slow, let me read the description behind this here. Or no, we don't have a description. Opponent versus Mr. Slow. Okay. I didn't get a description. D4, knight f6, knight f3, g6. Mr. Slow, of course, big King's Indian aficionado. Bishop g7, bishop g2, blah blah blah, castles d6, c4, mainline fianchetto, and now he goes with the standard, the modern standard of knight c6. Yeah, I don't like bishop f5. I found it difficult to play, but it's okay here. I mean, it's better here than in c6 probably. Like this, I had one opponent who might potentially play this. This is like worse. It seems like this is a more constructive move. Knight c6 here, bishop f5. I think this is a more constructive move than pawn to c6 for black, definitely. So now his opponent played a3. Mr. Coffee approved. I still have some more beer left for our last games. This is your pet line against weaker opponents. What is your pet line? You mean bishop f5? I've played bishop f5 with c6 and I think it sucks. It's extremely passive and just not good. But I guess with knight c6 it's a little better. You know, at least here you're like developing your knight. Objectively this, but a3 is funny looking. That makes me feel like white played a3 on the first move and then transposed to a King's Indian. How did this position happen? We played one a3 and then we promised to play the King's Indian. You know a3, I mean, if white plays a3, they have to be like, I don't know, 1900 or something. I don't know this guy, the Czech guy, Krejci, he played it. He was 2500 even in 2013. I thought he was younger. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Mr. Slow, it's interesting. Like, you're playing it against weaker opponents. Well, you're probably going to get a lot of end games. This is a sort of safe positional way of playing, I would say. You're not going to checkmate people with bishop f5. You're just going to get like a stable position. I mean, maybe you can just like grind down those weaker players in simple positions. But I would say a3, it weakens some squares in his position. So how can we take advantage of that? I mean, knight e4 is not forced. White just played like an almost irrelevant move, a3. Yeah, he wants to grind down. You want to grind down in endgames. I mean, I'm just wondering, can we improve black's play here? Besides playing the obvious move, knight e4. So ultimately, like Mr. Coffee wouldn't follow up with b4, little joke. Little inside joke there. It's too late to do like a6 or b8, whatever. So I'm just wondering, can you do something else, like queen d7 or something? Ultimately, I don't think this is all that great. And you've got to watch out for knight h4. Although, I don't know. I mean, this might be a move. b4. I don't know. I mean, it's possible you could play a different move, but this is totally normal. I just want to check with the computer. Can it find a way to exploit a3 somehow? Knight a5. Holy shit. Talk about like a direct attempt to like take advantage of a3. Possible. But, you know, Mr. Slow is playing solid here. He has less space, trading pieces. This is very standard. What is White supposed to play, you know? a3 contributes almost nothing to White's position. Again, it's probably negative. Another possibility is for Black to try to play a5, but White will play b3, I guess. So the Romanov, like you're playing for a draw variation. Man, Romanov would have a fit here if his opponent played this. Knight d5 instead of trading. That's an idea from some other lines. It looks artificial. I like Black, to be honest with you. I think now we really are playing Queen d7. Although, I guess it could get kind of weird. I don't trust White's position. Not the only option, either. I like your position. Knight h4. I mean, if you want to play knight h4, you can play knight h4 like right away, if you want to. That's totally a variation. That's probably a reasonable variation for White, one of the better ones. This is definitely artificial. Here, 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 here. That looks familiar. My anti-Romanov move is probably better. Less pawn moves, the better. Okay, e3 is normal though. I mean, White goes queen e2. But it's another pawn move, you know. How many pawn moves can he afford? You could actually play d5 here. I suppose White would play like b3. But I'm not sure. I mean, I really don't mind even d5. You're absolutely fine. e3 yucky? No, I mean, it's a standard Catalan lame g3 variation type of move. The idea is that the queen protects this, so you could play maybe like bishop h3, for example, Gina Rook. White can play like bishop h3 and they can unpin themselves, playing bishop h3 and knight e1, or bishop h3 and, you know, there's some ideas behind it. You did play d5, okay. So I don't know. There's e5, a5, d5. There's so many moves here for Black. I guess queen d7 might walk into knight e5. You have to be careful about that. You can't just like make any random move. e6. I guess if e6 they unpin like I was talking about. I don't really like this. So he plays d5, not giving White time, and now probably b3. Uh-oh. Taking the pressure off the Black center, always a good idea. And now it's possible to play e5. I mean, Black is obviously out of the woods here and playing for a win at this point. I guess the question becomes, how much better is Black? So Mr. Slow played the other Mr. Your other Mr. a5, queen b3, Whew, queen b3 is a little artificial. Again, white has some problem with b3, it appears. Though I don't like this. You like a4? But this looks like, oh man, yeah. Queen b3 is asking for it. So he realized that, I guess, on this, well, I mean, at the very minimum, we have knight a5, right? What's the deal? Oh, we're just winning the, like, rook. Oh my god. Yeah, of course. So we win the rook. Yeah, now you have a total squeeze, and e5 is possible later, b6 is possible. So you traded. But there are other options here for black. That's what I love about, like, computers. They always find these, like, quiet moves, like queen b8 or something, you know. You could play queen d7. I would, if I had time, I would look for even better. You played a very simple move here. My concern would be, like, seriously, Mr. Slow, like, this might be too simple. Maybe you need to try to squeeze more out of this position with maybe bishop takes f3 is, like, too safe, you know. We need to try to squeeze more here, increasing our advantage incrementally. Yeah, rook e8. Black is almost +2. Queen d7, knight a5, queen e8. So I think this is a mistake, practically speaking. That's a move I think you'd be better off playing against a stronger player. You simplify the position here. You have absolutely no risk of losing. But I think once you make this exchange, the position is a lot simpler. He has to take. I thought he had to take. I may stand corrected. How bad is takes? So I see knight takes. Oh, it's real bad. He's losing. So he literally can't take. My bad. I assumed he had to take. Wow. I mean, I don't think e4 is going to work. Like, theoretically, he could play this. And theoretically, he would resign after d4. That's over. Yeah, so he can take. Okay. So it's stronger than I thought. Rook d1 is forced. You create a clear target here. You win a clear pawn? No. Queen f6. That pawn's hanging. So this is a serious consideration, but it opens up his bishop. Take rook e8. Clearly better for black, but maybe white is hanging on. Here, 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 here. What? Another unforgiving Mr. Slow game. This is brutal. So if he takes, you take, and you're threatening knight e2 check. But maybe it's not over, right? He has this. So can he do this? Please? Come on, man. We gotta do this. We gotta do this. You gotta take the pawn. Man, he didn't take the pawn. Queen c2 looks scary. Wow. Dude, what is this guy's problem? He doesn't know how strong Mr. Slow is. Okay, his white square bishop is pretty good. What about bishop e4? I don't know. Can we play bishop e4? I don't know. I hate this, right? This is awful for white. Maybe bishop e4. But this looks really artificial. Queen e4. Like, what's going on with the b2 pawn? And the queen is exposed. I see. I'm afraid this is going to be a draw. I really want to win. Can you take with the pawn? Pawn takes. It's just a draw, I guess. Probably bishop e3. Ultimately, these are pretty weak. Well, alright. Man, rook b1. Wow. He's gonna play b3. But you can play d3. And then he plays b3. Wow, that is a perverse move. Bishop c1. There's no way I'm playing that. I think the problem is like white is trying to win or something, and he has a misconception here. So like rook b1, bishop takes a3, rook a1, and it's a draw. I guess this is just a draw, right? I mean, seriously. It is. It's rook b1, and he played that. That's so sick. I can't believe you would play that. Mr. Slow. It's just sleazy. Doing the Magnus Carlsen and like winning a totally drawn ending. There's no way in a million years I'm losing this position after rook b1. This guy lost this with here. Now I thought you might have rook e2. It's not enough. Now it's tricky. I mean, you've got the bishops on the board. You're up a theoretical pawn, and his pawns are on the wrong color. I mean, still, it's probably a draw. Wow. Threatening this. Man, that's crazy. Now what does he do? Bishop c1 again? He does. Bishop d4 and resigns. Oh my god, that's so crazy. Alright, funny endgame. Nah, I mean, it should have been a draw. I don't like bishop takes f3. You simplified too much. You know, that guy could have gotten away with a draw. You should have kept attention. What is this last game? We went over this already. This was Astrobait's game. This was Yabatis. Okay, that's it. Then we're done. Are we done? We're finally done. Anyway, guys, thanks for submitting your games. Hopefully I didn't leave anyone out. It's late enough here. Don't forget to support the stream. Please subscribe and donate gift subs and other cool stuff to the stream. We do not get enough support, so appreciate it. I think that we're out of games, and I'm going to get a rest, and we're going to be back tomorrow morning, Friday. Mr. Kofefe. Feeling like I left someone out. Did I leave someone out? I did leave someone out, didn't I? I left out, I left someone out. Maybe not. Yeah, you. You sent me the game yesterday. I thought I left you out. Alright. Prethia sent me a game. But I don't know why it's not in like my chat list or whatever. Where the hell is it? No, I have one more game to go over. I don't know why it's not doesn't show up in like messages or whatever. Maybe it's not a message, that's why. If it's not a message, it doesn't show up in messages. Wrong for Asato. Sorry. Wait, how many for Osatos are there? Well, you are 8-8. Thanks, Mr. Slow. You're for Osato 8-8. Where the hell is the game? I don't see any games here. Oh, you sent it to me somewhere else? Two days ago? Did I get that many messages? Oh, you're for Asato. Oh, I thought there was something funny going on there. Alright, there we go. That's someone else. Now I understand. Alright. Last game. Over the board classical tournament game against an IM. You're black. Can I get PGN? Can I do this a different way? Wait. Maybe I can just copy it over. It's private. Just click view? You think that'll work? You think it'll work? Really? I can't believe how much I hate this. Alright, view on Lichess. See, it won't let me. It won't even let me view it. That's really consistent. Like, you can get PGN, but you can't view it. Alright. Sorry, I should have put your game in there earlier. It's been a long week. Where is everybody? Sorry, Gina Rookie, reached our limit of games analyzed on stream. So, Prethia here, or Furusato, is playing black. Yeah, this bishop d7 is an interesting move. You know, a lot of people will play it on the earlier move, you know, here, with the idea of bishop e5. Yeah, nice try. It is the main move, though. It's interesting. I always like assumed like queen b6 was the main move. That's weird. Curious Mountain Crawler, welcome. It looks like bishop d7 has outnumbered queen b6. Yeah, queen b6 a3 is... That's a big variation. So he takes. I really don't know this line. Nimzovician. Giving up, you know, the pawn to use the square in the future. So, yeah, no, I mean, I've seen these types of ideas. I'm just not an expert. Sveshnikov. Yeah, he's following Sveshnikov. I mean, if you get, like, Garry Kasparov book on, you know, revolution in the 70s or whatever, he talks about the people who were most influential. He mentions Sveshnikov for his contributions, you know, in the white side of like C3 Sicilian, and of course his advanced French like fits in. Looks like your opponent is following the Sveshnikov school. So bishop b6 is forced, and now b5. I remember a game like I studied some classic game where like Bronstein did something like this. It's interesting, you know, white is like playing anti-positionally in some respects by giving up the strong point and playing the flank pawn up and creating backwardness for himself along the c-file, but he gains control of the center. Now, is this the idea to play bishop a3? It's hard for black to coordinate, Gina Rook. It's kind of similar to the gambit lines that you see in the advanced variation. So this is all theory. I would of course like anticipate bishop a3. Balashov played bishop c5 here. I mean, that's the classic French defense exchange. White's bad bishop for black's good bishop. But at the end of the day, you have an interesting battle. So instead, we have rook e1 overprotecting e5. Totally Nimzovician. Castles, and now rook a2. So it's hard for black to put pressure on the e5. And now you played f5, which is kind of radical in a way. When we play f5, we're never going to be able to play f6. So it's like e5 remains. If white wants it to, it can remain as a strong point here. I think, you know, that's really interesting. I mean, maybe white shouldn't take en passant. This is obviously a critical position. It's funny, like, you played f5, so white can theoretically play en passant, right? But what would happen if black played f6 and no one... Oh, there is a game. Check it out. So that's funny. Like, if you look at the Opening Explorer, it doesn't show f6. And then you make it play f6, it suddenly appears. Sveshnikov Nomkin, 1989. It's a lot like the Caro-Kann advance. I mean, f6, bishop takes g6, pawn takes g6, queen d3. king f7, and this looks a lot like a game I lost in the Caracan once. Bishop e3. You get a feel for Sveshnikov, the rock, the positional sort of like control of key squares. Feingold had it removed. That's not the only thing Feingold had removed. Alright, rook a2, f5. You thought he would take? Oh, you're joking. I get it. Feingold had it removed because of f6. It takes me a while. I'm tired. But what if he like left attention here? What would happen? Like, what if White plays like bishop g5? The hell is going on? What do you do? Queen c7? Or queen e8? You have some other tactic. E-pawn under pressure? Well, I mean, it's under pressure, but it's protected. It's under pressure, but it's sufficiently protected. I mean, I guess he plays h4 now. I'm really totally unsure what the hell is going on here. h6. And then again, we go Sveshnikov style, I guess. You got knight h8, knight f7, knight c4. We're probably taking if the knight goes into c4, I assume. I'm just not sure, you know, what's up with that. Is that something that black necessarily wants to do or not? I don't know. So anyway, it's very complicated. Dude, there's a game here. Okay. Well, he played rook c2. So he took. Queen takes. You didn't give him the option. You know, f5 doesn't give him the option to play bishop takes g6 like Nomkin. Like Sveshnikov, Nomkin. With f5, he doesn't have that option. It's interesting. Queen takes f6, bishop g5, queen f7. Yeah, I mean, it looks like perfectly played. Perfectly played game by both sides. I don't really like rook c2. It's inherently passive. Why does he have to play rook c2? Like, can't White come up with something better here? You like this? So this doesn't do anything necessarily, right? Because there's no here. Actually, there is. Okay, this is kind of crazy. Like, queen takes g5, knight takes d7, and then tactics galore. That's definitely a possibility. I have a weird feeling about rook c2. It looks slow. Okay, bishop g5, queen f7. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think my instinct is always right. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like rook c2. This is traditional idea. The computer recommended that, and also it's possible to take. This looks slow. I hate this rook. What about taking? Well, I mean, now it looks really ridiculous. I mean, maybe that's the thing. I mean, this is absurd now. The rook on c2. I guess if you play rook c2, then then bishop takes c4 is stupid. I'm just trying to adjust. Do you have knight f4 at some point? Man, I mean, it looks like you almost have knight f4. Or now we're talking about h6 maybe. I mean, this is a reasonable move, requiring a lot of calculation. But black does seem inherently fine. Although now it's like, I mean, with this capture, now the game is going completely in a very concrete direction. Your pawn structure is shot. Now both sides have bad pawn structure. The game is totally changing. I love this light square bishop. I know that sounds crazy, but honestly, if it busts into the game, it's gonna like kill him. If it can get in the game like through c6, and that might just happen here. He played rook d2, so bishop e8. Yeah, exactly. This is interesting. You know how your bad bishop was like the little engine that could. Bishop e3, bishop e7, bishop, okay, whatever, take. So you got opposite color bishops finally. That's amazing, and I mean, there's a chance this is coming in. Finally. It's about opposite color bishops. What concerns me now is your king safety. He has 3-on-2. His king is safer, it feels like. So it feels like white's still a tiny bit better. But I guess you have some threats. Yeah, maybe like this wasn't a good move by him. Your queen is on e4. In the line with this rook here. And the only threat I see is basically knight h4. So this guy just goes here. But I don't know, man. I mean, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right to play rook e6. What happens if he does something else? I mean, for example, f3. f3 is a move, right? I mean, you don't want to let this knight get in here. So I guess you have queen here. I mean, you're in that line, man. Yeah, you can play queen d3. He probably takes on b5. But that's hanging. Man, it's very complicated. You know, I would guess it's around equal. Wow, white's winning, apparently. Wow. No. Only queen e5 you had to play. Apparently there's a winning move here for white. I don't see it. I just played f3. A takes b5, queen e5. Or bishop g5. Bishop g5. So you made a serious mistake. You could have gone here attacking his rook and saved the tempo. But I don't like his move. Like, you both made mistakes. Rook e6 is bad, too. Now your queen is great. So that was like both sides errored. You should have gone here. And after this, he should have gone with something sensible. This doesn't help him. You know, now your queen is good and his rook is kind of awkward. And there goes the bishop. I mean, honestly here, I don't know. That bishop could be dangerous. He could exchange it, you know, and I think he's fine. I think he played riskily. But the pawns are weak now. So white is finally still better. You're trying to get your knight to e5 and d3. So king f1. What about bishop d4? Then you have knight f4. So he can't stop you from getting a knight to d3. You didn't do it. So what happens here? Knight f8, I didn't even consider it. I mean, it's technical position, difficult, but I would be trying to get my knight here. You also have knight g4. Yeah, you're slightly worse. If one of these pawns falls, you might be lost. That's pretty tough. But this is very passive defense. I'm crazy about g3. Putting his pawns on the wrong color. You guys were probably moving quickly now. Why couldn't you try to put your knight on a good square? I mean, I just don't understand, like, this point. Okay, g3, why can't we go here at some point and try to put our knight on d3? I guess it just doesn't do anything. It looks good, but it doesn't really do anything. Oh, he finally got a pawn to h5. That's a problem for you. You know, you don't want to have these pawns fixed on dark squares, because that's going to be an issue, like in the Caro-Kann. Your knight is dominated, your pawns are weaker. His pawn's on h5. Can you play g6? No, maybe he plays g4. I don't know. That's probably too weak. You just take and play knight g7. No, can't do it. No can do. Yeah, I don't like the way your pawns got fixed there. Starting with h6, can we not do h6? This looks passive to me too. I don't see why we have to do that. Computer actually likes h6. Yeah, it's a tough ending. You're right on the verge of losing. Knight e5, apparently. Bishop g5. This looks bad. Just dropping a pawn. Bishop and rook tandem. That's Dorfman. Now it's looking bad. I mean, he's got the strong bishop and the kingside majority. Feels like he might have brushed a little bit with f5. Can he improve his king? Like king f3? You mean a take on h6? But I think he can more slowly improve his position here. This looks like kind of arbitrary. Can you play knight to g5? He's going to take and play h6. Probably winning. You got a bad situation with that rook there on c7. I didn't like that move from the beginning. You go back here. First thing I thought was, I don't like this move. But how can you generate counterplay? First of all, get your knight there, but then, okay, so you stopped bishop g5. I'm only kind of understanding the position now. You know, you played that. That's not necessary. You should have played h6 first, stopping bishop g5, and maybe, what's the big problem? Now you're threatening to go knight e5. Try to get knight d3, maybe knight g4, maybe rook a8, and down there. Can you coordinate your three pieces? Even if you have to lose a pawn or something, you know? This got really bad. So you ended up too passive. It's a winning position for white. Bobby Fischer. It's a miracle if black doesn't lose this. That knight is really lost. I mean, it like lost its way. You have b5. Knight takes in b5. Calculate, take. Well, take b6. Probably waste of time. Take b5. King e4. If we take, are we lost? Probably. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a lot of moves. Looks like we're lost. No, it's a draw. Holy shit. Oh my god. That's a draw. That's crazy. But maybe he can zugzwang you. The table base says it's a draw. It has to be a draw. Table base doesn't lie. Prophylactic Tamiflu. Rugrats are the best for getting sick. That's what I love the most about playing in the World Senior Championship. No little kids to get you sick. Kids are just like germ machines. Old people are more careful. Wow, that's a draw, dude. That's crazy. It's still a draw, though. Wow. Man, he had you. You were probably lost earlier. I suspect f5 kind of inflexible by white. You know, why does he commit this? Because he might have g5 in some positions. It looks like he has everything here. Look at those pawns. He has the two pawns, like, you know, perfectly placed. You're basically almost in zugzwang, and he can like improve his king at will here. This has to be a winning position for white. No, I mean, no, it's no, the end is a draw, but I mean, dude, this looks lost. He has everything here. I think it's f5 is sus. You know, it's inflexible. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. Thanks for watching. I will be back tomorrow morning and then Sunday simul stream. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. Thanks, everyone, for supporting the stream. Sponsored by you, my subscribers. Thanks, everybody. We'll see y'all later. Take care. Friday morning. Fast Friday. Don't forget, guys. Please support the stream and subscribe. Bye-bye.